Welcome to Sacred Cow Barbecue. It's Thursday, May 19th in Bolshevik America. I'm Patricia Aiken, an average host with exceptional guests. It's been another grueling week for our political prisoners and their families. I have this great quote that I was going to read, but since we're running late, I want to get straight to my guest. He is the head of the Idaho 3%. And tonight, I decided to invite him when several of the prisoners kept saying how much of a rock he's been for them. Brandon Curtis, grateful you could make it tonight. Thanks for being patient.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're a little bit far away. Can you move up to your mic a little bit, or is it, I don't know, this could just be our issue here tonight.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that is better. Perfect. So, Mr. Rowe, break in at any time and tell us if we're sounding okay here, because I can't tell. I can't manage it on my side. So.
All right. Yeah, you guys sound great right now. So.
Okay, terrific. Brandon, it's been an infuriating week for families and friends of our men. Mail being withheld and returned just to discourage the men. Melina Bilodeau reported yesterday that she sent Joe O'Shaughnessy a Bible, and they returned it because or they wouldn't deliver it because it was over 2 pounds. It was 2 pounds, 2 ounces. Steve Stewart says mail from his little boy's been returned. I mean, it's just ugly what they're doing. What's your take on it?
Well, it's, in my opinion, it's just, it's a way to break these guys down. And it's really unfortunate that those type of tactics are taking place. We also know that the U.S. Marshal's Office had found out that some of the guys in Henderson, were having communications together or in a pod together or whatever. They put an order down to separate them and not allow them to talk so they can't work on their defense together. So it all goes hand in hand, in my opinion, that they're doing these sort of tactics to break these guys down.
Oh, yeah. I heard the day that Joel Hansen filed that Bivens complaint on behalf of Cliven, right after that court hearing, the marshals came in and gave the men all new cellies because before then they were able to cell together. But at least they're able to go out now and still meet each other, at the table and hang out together. So, but it's just despicable how they're treating these men.
It's terrible.
The fact that they're even in prison trial is ridiculous. But one of the things I want to start with you. Where did Idaho 3% come from? You guys had a spectacular protest. I love that picture. I sent it to as many men as I could. I brought it with me when I go visiting and hold it up to the camera so the ones I didn't send it to could see it. I mean, you folks did a spectacular job. So how did that get started for you?
It actually started shortly after the Bundy Ranch standoff. I was watching the live stream of the Bundy situation unfold that weekend that it did while I was at work. And I just literally was, thinking to myself, this could turn into a really bad situation. And fortunately, it ended the way it did, peacefully. And on the way home, as I was driving, I was thinking about, if something like that happened here in Idaho, who was gonna fill that gap? Who was gonna take a stand to protect Idaho citizens for Idaho? And I decided I was gonna start that. And so my goal was to start an organization, or just not even necessarily an organization at first. I just wanted to get 50 people together that thought like I did and wanted to stand for people's rights and freedoms and take that stand if need be. And if I could get 50 people, that'd be great. And 2 years later, here we are. We're an organization and we're 2,500 members statewide.
2,500? That's fabulous.
Yeah, statewide. And we do all kinds of things. We've dove into the communities. We help battered women, abused children. We help, vets. We've adopted highways. You name it, we're trying to get involved and make a change within the community as well. So it's not just about going out and standing up on the front lines to protect someone's property rights or whatever. We want to dive into the community, be positive about that, while we also stand up for, constitutional rights. And that's all constitutional rights. That's
right. That's awesome. But what gave you this mindset? What woke you up that things weren't right in America?
Well, it was just initially to protect our Idaho citizens, and with my background in doing what I used to do in law enforcement, I've seen that side firsthand, And I've always been conscious of the Constitution, and made sure that was my priority. And luckily for me, I was in a smaller department, and all the officers felt the same way, so it was easy to do that. So I always had the concept, and I always knew where that line was and where it shouldn't be crossed. You should honor people's rights, and the Constitution guarantees our God-given unalienable rights. And I've always practiced that. But as I decided to start this organization, based off the abuses that I saw, and what I saw that really got under my skin was I saw a family asking BLM agents questions. They were just looking for some answers to why things were going on, and what I saw was people being tased. I saw someone get run over on a four-wheeler by a dump truck. I saw an elderly lady get a bite dog was told to attack her, and doesn't any reasonable person watching that go down knows that's not okay and that's not right. So I decided that we're going to do something about that here in Idaho, so that wouldn't be an issue here. And as I dove into building this organization, you know how it goes. It's a rabbit trail, and you start to learn more and more, and it just becomes becomes your life.
When did you get wind of the fact that they were going to start picking people up that had been at Bundy Ranch, and also the Harney County situation?
Well, we knew that with the Harney County situation, we knew that inevitably that people were going to be arrested, and we just knew that based off any reasonable person that would have been there to watch that go down, see the influx of law enforcement from county to state to federal, that they were
in the UN. Let's not forget the international people.
Right, correct, and contract workers. There was all kinds of people there, and we saw them coming in, and it didn't take much to realize what they were. They were going to try to take that property back, and they were going to make a point of that. We saw that building up, and we'd heard rumor that they were going to start picking up people for the Bundy Ranch stuff. We didn't really have much notice. And then just that, I believe it was a Thursday morning or whatever it was, is when they started rounding everybody up. It's just really unfortunate. They waited 2 years to do anything about it, and they started arresting everybody.
Well, I put a meme up on Facebook that's made the rounds right now. And we said, the judges keep saying, oh, they're a danger to the community. Well, either somebody's not doing their job then, because if these men are a danger to their community, they're some of the finest men I know, by the way. If they're a danger to their community, why the hell did you wait 2 years to pick them up?
Exactly, and that's the whole point. They waited 22 months before they did anything about it. In the meantime, these guys are working, supporting their family. They're also doing community type activities to help their communities. It's wrong on all levels, and even further that the government needs to ask for an extension because now they want to call it a complex case. Well, the reality is it's not a complex case. They need more time to build the case because they don't have a case to begin with.
Exactly. Now they're trash barreling them with discovery.
Absolutely.
And that's an age-old tactic.
Right. And so it's wrong on all levels, and the problem is you got this system in place where the federal government, who is the prosecutor, the federal government's investigating it, the federal government's the judge, and then the federal government's apparently the victim. So you have this process where they have this grand jury indictment. No one knows about it. It's in the middle of the night. It's in some back room, and the only people there is the prosecutors and this grand jury. And nobody knows what evidence is presented. It's all one-sided. We've already seen they've taken Facebook posts out of context, and they use this information to get these indictments and these blanket indictments. And they add all these names and all these charges. They're going to just throw it all to the wall and see what can stick. And these guys have been denied their rights. They've been denied due process. They've been denied the right to a speedy trial. And they've been denied even to face their accusers in the sense of getting the evidence that's against them until today.
I know, it's crazy. And there was an appeal filed on Ryan Bundy's behalf for the right to inspect the grand jury, and that is there's tons of case law on that, and it's a reversible error, and the judge came back and denied it.
Yeah.
So there's a reversible error right there, but we're wondering who's going to reverse it. You know, we saw a fairly good decision in the Hage case, two of the Hage cases. One where they were told that they had to sign the BLM had to give them their water rights back, but they also had to sign their contract. So I didn't like that, but it was better than nothing.
Right.
And then the second one that they report in their court of claims, they had millions of dollars coming to them. And the BLM just scoffed and said, oh, we're never going to pay that. We've got more attorneys. And so they reversed both those cases right at the beginning when this went down in Oregon.
Yep.
And I know when I go, oh, something's up when they're doing that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that case to be used as a precedent to say how many felonies the BLM had actually committed against that ranching family. They did not want to have that on the books.
Well, and here's the other issue at hand. These guys are being charged with all these allegations and charges against federal officers. And we also need to make sure that everyone understands that if you look at under U.S. code, BLM is not considered a federal law enforcement officer. So right there, those charges should be dismissed. They don't have law enforcement authority. Those BLM officers are absolutely impersonating police officers because they are not recognized under federal code. They're not even recognized under their own administrative code, which I have read top to bottom.
Get out of town. Really?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
If you look at the and I have it right here in front of me, I've printed it all off. It's the Federal Land Policy Management Act, and it's under 43 USC 1701 through 1785. And it outlines, what the BLM can do. And it's all about land management. There's nothing in here about law enforcement.
A BLM agent killed a man up in Red Rock Canyon.
Exactly. And nothing's been done about it. He should have been charged with murder.
So we got BLM agents impersonating officers, but we mainly have mercs were recruited for that. I understand that the government budgeted $7.5 million for that raid. And so let's put that right to rest right now, that it wasn't about any $1 million that Cliven Bundy doesn't owe, but even if he did owe it, would you spend $7.5 million to come collect it?
Right. That's tripping over, a dollar to pick up a penny.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then what the other side of this story is that we have collusion with Obama, Harry Reid, and the judge.
Oh yeah. I really love the Bivens complaint.
Yeah.
That went out with that on Cliven's behalf. How'd you like it?
I felt that was absolutely accurate, and it was dead on, and it was a great move. And I think they should move forward with filing a lawsuit, and they need to tear that. They need to tear that collusion open and split it up. And that judge should absolutely recuse herself for conflict of interest.
Absolutely. Well, and probably every judge in Nevada is going to get recused because they've all been appointed by Harry Reid. They're going to have to bring in a judge from another district for sure.
Right.
This thing is, they want the Star Chamber going here. Because I just got a report tonight. Gavin Sames reported that secret courts, this is an urgent post and request. Judge Anna Brown has chosen to close the hearing of May 23rd, 24th, and 25th to the public. He said this is totally unconstitutional and blatantly wrong. There are many families who have already made their plans to be there just to see their loved ones and to show support. The patriots need the encouragement that seeing physical support gives them. Is this not America? No, Gavin, not anymore. Please find time to call the judge's chamber and remind them that the courtroom must be open to the public. Her number, everybody grab a pencil. I'm going to give you the numbers. Her number to the judge's chamber is 503-326-8350. You'll also want to call the Oregon Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum. Her number is 503-378-4400. And our good friend, Governor Kate Brown, her number is 503-378-4400. 378-4582. So I hope I should put those in the chat room. Why don't you make some comments about that, and I will put that in the chat room for people.
Yeah, that's absolutely unconstitutional. Now, we did hear there was an influx of phone calls going into the court after that was initially put out, and they changed that to it's now open to the public. And the way they're going to do that is not in the actual courtroom. This came from the courthouse over in Portland. They're going to allow people to go into overflow rooms and watch via video. So I guess that's how they're going to handle that, which is still not, you're still not going to be allowed in the actual courtroom. You're going to have to go to.
Oh, no, that's terrible. They want the men not to see the support they have.
That's absolutely what they're doing.
Oh, that's just, because Ammon was kind of complaining, not complaining, but noting that mail had slowed down. He doesn't know that mail hasn't slowed down. They're just not delivering it.
Correct. And we know, mail coming out of the Nevada case. It's taking 2 to 3 weeks to reach Boise.
What?
Todd Engel sent a letter out it was dated May 1st, and they got it on the 13th, I believe.
Yeah, that's terrible. Because I have a friend in down in Pahrump in that same facility. And it only takes me a couple of days to get his stuff, and him a couple of days to get mine. So they're obviously messing with them.
Right. And what people need to realize is that, the precedence of this case and these political prisoners, I know it just seems like to me, a lot of the people's attention has moved on to the next thing or the next problem. And that's what the government wants. That's another reason why, if they can declare it a complex case, they can push us out for almost a year, because another year down the road, people are going to forget. And that's what they are, hoping for. So,
Americans do tend to have short memories.
Yeah. And then there's going to be other things that take place, and that's going to pull their focus away. Or, they can even so much as, they're going to start doing smear campaigns and character assassinations on other outspoken patriots, and trying to pull focus away by discrediting. I mean, the type of psychological warfare they use is sickening.
Yeah, it is. It's Bolshevik America, and they have perfected it. They really have. I mean, it's discouraging, and I always want to encourage people. I look at things from a metaphysical standpoint, from biblical standpoint, and all that, and it all says to me that we create our reality, and we have to do it in faith. That when we pray and ask for something, we have to believe that it's been answered. And it's very hard to keep that belief up when you see how disgusting the courts have been. This week with Dave Bundy was just shocking. I mean, they had the court administrator, I'm not even going to call him a judge, but the court administrator is a man by the name of Cam Fehrenbach. And I thought he was handling it well. And I could tell he was getting really uncomfortable as this whole thing went on. Like he was having a moment of conscience. And then he seemed to pull himself together at the end. And he picked up a sheet of paper from the left-hand side and picked it up and read the exact same decision that all the other judges have had. Danger to the community. When the sheriff in Daviess County has said that he would vouch for him and be responsible for him, people are usually upset after those hearings, but the anger level is really rising now.
Absolutely. The people have they've had it, and these political prisoners, I do field phone calls from all of them at some point. But the Idaho guys, the 4 Idaho guys, I talk to them, most of them every couple days. Some of them I talk to multiple times a day. I talk to Eric Parker, 2, 3, 4 times a day. And, we constantly try to be uplifting and just, remind them that anger, put that into your gut, and that anger, turn it into a fire to keep going and not let them break you. And it's a constant, it's hard for them. As every day goes on, they feel as if they're being forgotten because time goes by, people forget, and we cannot do that. And I made a vow to our brothers in jail that I'm not going to rest until they come home. And the American people have to say this, enough, and they got to make these phone calls. They got to write these letters. They got to be heard. The court of public opinion is far more powerful than the court of law. And
well, that's why, not only do they want to slow down, of course, I haven't slowed down on Facebook, and neither have you or, the other people that we know through this, but it's nowhere on national media.
Right.
Mainstream.
No, and the national media, they'd rather, focus their attention, about and make it a big thing about transgender bathrooms. That's a whole different thing, a whole other radio show. But come on, can we not see that America's deteriorating by all these things taking place by our, Commander-in-Chief Obama, who's doing a terrible job, and he's being very successful running this country into the ground? When are people going to wake up? When are people going to realize why these guys, the 19 from Nevada, all the guys in Oregon, why they're in jail? When are people going to wake up and start doing the research for themselves and quit listening to the opinions of other people, become educated and make an educated decision and make their own opinions and realize what's going on? Our rights are being taken away every day. And if we don't stand, and if these guys didn't do what these guys did to put them where they're at in jail, they stood for our Bill of Rights. That's what they did. And we need to stand for them now.
But that they're using this ridiculous brandishing a weapon. That's the same definition when you read it is open carry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you look at Nevada state law as well, it's a stand your ground state, and there are snipers pointing firearms at them. Now let's look at the chain of events. The sheriff came over to the Bundy's ranch and is on public record. It's on video. It's documented that he said the BLM is ceasing all operations. The BLM is going to release the cattle. The BLM
exactly
is done. So they went down to that wash to get the cattle back at the direction of the sheriff. So why in the hell, when they got down there, is there snipers pointing rifles at unarmed women, children, men? Why? That's the question.
And on some of those recordings, you can hear BLM agents saying, "Yeah, I don't care. I'll shoot women and children."
Oh, you can absolutely hear them saying they've been given the green light to use lethal force and that they will shoot and kill.
Yep.
It's absolutely documented. So why, when the sheriff gave a directive that the operation was ceased, they could go down and get the cattle, and now they're going to have to defend themselves because when they get down there to get the cattle back, which the sheriff said was going to take place, the sheriff's the ultimate law of the land, why are they still facing sniper rifles, snipers are still looking at them through scopes?
Oh, yeah, and the feds want to, you got to be in the court to hear this. It's so unbelievable. Yes, and men that were fully tacked out. Fully tacked out? Did you see your guys?
Right. After
you threaten a family with Waco, and then you complain because they say whatever it takes. Any man that doesn't say, "I'll do whatever it takes to save my family," is no man at all.
Correct. And these men were defending themselves. They were in a defensive posture. They were on a public highway, and they were walking down the highway when they heard someone over the loudspeakers say, "We're going to kill you." And so what do? They took a defensive posture behind the concrete barrier, and we're trying to figure out what the heck was going on because they had just been told by the sheriff that the BLM was leaving.
Oh, yeah. And people were just walking around. Then all of a sudden they're going lethal force. We've been authorized to use lethal. What the hell for?
Well, and the BLM had already put out a press release before all this happened saying they were ceasing the operation. So, they've got themselves in a bind. And Nevada is a stand your ground state. You have a right to self-defense. You don't have to turn and retreat, just like Idaho. It's a stand your ground state. So they have the ability to defend themselves and do it where they're at and where they're standing, period.
Yeah, I believe that. But then they're saying they're crossing state lines. And the thing that I'm concerned about, and somebody pointed it out to me, is the conspiracy charge. It's ridiculous. I mean, I know Eric Parker hadn't met Cliven Bundy until at court when they were having that, complex case hearing. Absolutely. Never met him.
Absolutely. None of them had ever met Cliven Bundy. Eric Parker and the guys from Idaho weren't even going down there having to do anything with cattle. They know nothing about cattle. They have no interest in cattle. They were going down there to stand up for our Constitution, Bill of Rights, because the federal government was setting up First Amendment boxes and zones and telling people they had to go stand in there to speak their mind.
Yeah, and so that's a big point that I have. What gives the feds the thought of doing that? And I say it's because they don't even recognize the Constitution under, the Reconstruction Acts of 1867. People are sick of me talking about this, I'm sure. The War Powers Act, Buck Act, and go on, and right up to NDAA. That's all been suspended. We are now rebel belligerents to the government. And Absolutely. So they're going to do anything. That's why they're holding these men, because they look at them as this is a battlefield, and that's why they're treating them like prisoners of war.
Absolutely. And let me give you just an example of everyday life, something I experienced last weekend. I went to pick up my daughter from the airport. She's a minor. She flies as an unaccompanied minor for Alaska Airlines. And she flies once or twice a month to visit her mother up in northern Idaho. And I went to the airport to pick her up like I always do. And I was denied a security pass just to go to the gate and pick up my minor child. I was denied. And I've been on the phone with DHS, TSA, Alaska Airlines. No one will tell me why, other than I just can't go into what they call a sterile area in an airport because I'm outspoken.
I hold my breath every time I go to the airport. So
yeah. Wait for it. It's going to come. I wasn't asking to fly. It was just, and it's actually illegal. They can't do that. They can't keep. They knew my name was put on that minor form. My name was on there as the guardian to pick them up. They can't keep me from going to get her. It's just amazing the things that they're doing to screw with people. With us out here that are still standing, with those guys in there that are the political prisoners, to try to break them with psychologically and emotionally. It's just
in their help. I mean, Greg Burleson, blind, in a wheelchair.
Right.
I mean, newly blind, epilepsy, and a undiagnosed skin disorder, but he's a danger to the community.
He's a flight risk, and he's a danger to the community. So he can't be released. It's unbelievable. If people cannot see the collusion and what needs to happen is
everybody that's in jail needs to get out, and all the people that are putting them in jail need to go in.
Well, they need to go
in opposite land. Harry Reid needs to be behind bars.
They all need to be charged with RICO.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. Listen, everyone, you're listening to Sacred Cow Barbecue. We got underway a little bit late tonight. My guest is Brandon Curtis from the Idaho 3%, and you can tell what side of this he's on. And I want to encourage everyone to run over to Freedom Slips, make a donation, buy some cool stuff. We are listener and volunteer supported, and we really appreciate it. It takes, even though we're all volunteers here, it still takes money to run the station. So we appreciate that. We're going to be rolling out a new fundraiser for these men, and we'll tell you about that probably next week. Or if anybody's interested now, send me an email, and we'll invite you to the unveiling of that. So Brandon, we're coming up here on a break in a minute or so, and then we're going to be inviting some other family members here. Brandon, you're like family to these men, but Eric Parker's wife, Andrea Parker, will be joining us, and Todd Engel's mother, she goes by B. Her name's Dolores, but she goes by B. She's going to be joining us as well. And I think we're going to be able to bring in Scott Drexler's daughter, Chelsea. Yeah. She made the news last week, and so we're going to be able to talk to some family members. So anything you want to wrap up with this hour with here, Brandon?
No, I'm looking forward to having the family members online on here with us on the show. I did get a hold of Chelsea. She will be joining us. And I'll send you a message on here with her phone number.
Okay, awesome. Actually, I've got her phone number. So I think I've got her phone number, and we can do that. But, I'm concerned on one level, but they've got to be doing this. They're so over the top with this oppression at this time. They must feel like they're losing a grip here to be this hard and heavy on this, don't you think?
Yeah, and you know what it is? I think, they lost at Bundy, so to say, in that moment. there's been several other things. We had the situation at Sugar Pine Mine, White Hope Mine, where, patriots are coming to stand for the rights of miners and people just injustices. And then the Burns, Oregon thing happened. And, it's like they just took a stance of like, okay, we can't get a black eye again. So we're going to take a pound of flesh and we're going to make sure we crush the patriot movement, make sure that we make a point that they know they can't mess with the federal government. And I believe that's what they're doing.
Oh, exactly. That's exact. They want to make it so nobody's ever going to stand up again, because I'm telling you, even right after the thing in Burns and after Lavoie was murdered and the men were arrested, there was a big gun show here in Las Vegas. And, we may not be getting our break since we were screwed up earlier. Oh, that's great. Okay, cool. But there was a big gun show, and there was about a 20-minute wait to get in. That's how long the line was. That we haven't seen a gun show like that, not since I've lived here, in 6 years. And so a friend of mine went out with, the telltale constitutions like the Bundys carry in their shirt pockets, and he went along the crowd. Only 10% of the people would take one. The others looked like it was a one-way ticket to prison.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Wow.
Absolutely shocking. People wouldn't even take a copy.
Because that's what the federal government's done. They've oppressed the people so much, they're afraid.
Okay, I hear the music. Mr. Rowe, thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to Sacred Cow Barbecue. Of course, our
the
topic
mailbox
tonight
is full
is...
and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
We're trying to dial in some other guests. Usually we have that done during the break, but we're having technical difficulties tonight. Mr. Rowe's helping us out, so just ignore that.
Hello?
It's Hi, is this Chelsea?
Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Hi. And who else is here? Is that you, B?
This is Dee. Yes.
Awesome. And we haven't got Andrea yet, but that's okay. We're going so far here. So, all right, very good. Well, I'd like to introduce I'm sure most of you know Brandon Curtis, and I know you folks worked together before, Chelsea. And
yes,
B, I don't know if you've met Brandon in person or not.
I haven't met Brandon in person, but it was a pleasure to get to talk to first happened. He was very encouraging, and it helped a lot.
Okay, awesome. So, Brandon, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great. Are you just outraged, B, about what's happening to your son? He is a fabulous man. You did a great job raising that one. We'll take 1,000 more just like him.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know if outrage is a strong enough word. Back here with everybody, all of my family and his family, the word is just absolutely unbelievable. It's unbelievable because we thought we lived in America. But we're really beginning to wonder now what if we were really that badly fooled. I know it is America. It'll always be America. But I found out one thing. If you challenge your government or you ask them a question, you're not going to be in America. You're going to be in communist China or someplace like that.
Well, that's why I call it Bolshevik America.
Yes. No, it's not like we thought it was, and like it was when I grew up, that's for sure.
Yeah, did you ever think you'd see it like this?
Well, Mother passed away at 89, and she would walk and say, I never thought I'd see days like this. Well, I know what she means now. I never thought I'd see days like this. Never. No.
Well, I have to say, Chelsea, you've kind of grown up with this. I mean, you're a young woman. Is this shocking to you?
The events that have occurred over this are shocking to me, I guess. The boys going out and doing what they did was not shocking to me. They had every right to try and stand up for the Bundys and try to help. I just am shocked with how our authorities have dealt with that.
Well, they're our servants. They've just forgotten. Yeah, so
just really, really blown my mind. And I don't know what happened to serve and protect. Now it's just like target and convict.
Target and convict. There you go. That's absolutely true. You were a small town cop. Is that right, Brandon?
Yes.
So did you see the militarization of the police? Was that happening at your level, or was it just going on in the cities?
Well, no, and actually, even at that point in time when I went through the academy, and I believe it was 1998, it was a big push about community policing, and I went to the academy here in Boise, Idaho. It was a big push about, community policing and community this, community that, and it's just over time that we've really seen this militarization of the police take place and even more escalated in the last, 5 to 7 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's creepy. I when I lived on Maui, I know someone that left the police force, didn't retire, didn't take an early retirement, quit because he said he couldn't stomach the change at the police office, that they'd gone from being community service to taking people down. He couldn't handle the change.
Right.
And that's what you saw this creep in? Now,
well,
yeah.
I've really seen it creep in the last 5 to 7 years, and it wasn't so much when I was, active duty. It was really based about community, and they pushed that very hard.
B, do you have an idea of why Todd? I mean, there were probably 2,000 to 3,000 people. I think closer to 3,000 people. Why Todd?
Do you mean why Todd was arrested?
Yeah, why Todd was arrested.
Okay. Well, I never forget the night of the election when Mr. Obama was elected. It was 11 o'clock at night and I got a phone call, and Todd was just crying like a baby, hysterical. Mama, we've lost our country. Well, I thought, son, are you serious? And he just he couldn't control and stop crying. Well, this is Todd. Todd is a reader. He studies. He pays attention. And he's told us for years what he saw was coming, what was going to come down, and what was taking place and what was happening. And he was arrested, I believe, because he knows too much. He's as smart as they are, and he knows what they're up to. And he believes in the Constitution, and I think that's why every last one of them's been arrested. They want to shut them up. They don't want this, just like the news right now. They don't want anybody to know really what's going on. And I really believe that's why every one of them is behind bars. This is bigger than a cow and a tortoise and all that. This is behind this is much greater than that. So, but I never dreamed that you'd be arrested just because you stood for freedoms and things like that.
And he did the heinous act that he did is he directed traffic for the state troopers.
Well, and two, I don't know if anybody knows that Todd and I were communicating when the Burns, Oregon was going down, and Todd made a trip down there to be a peacemaker. See? But it's just unbelievable. This whole thing is absolutely unbelievable. Bill O'Reilly tonight, somebody asked him why he called Harry Reid evil. He said, I didn't call Harry Reid evil. I said what he did in regards to Kate's Law was evil. Well, I disagree with Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. Good fruit falls from a good tree, and bad fruit falls from a bad tree. Evil's evil. I don't care what your title is.
Oh no, they're as evil as they come. I mean, satanic isn't too strong a word, is it, Brandon?
No, not at all.
No, it's outrageous what they're doing in using, these Praetorian Guard that they have to accomplish what they want for their own ill-gotten gain. It's shocking.
That's like Todd's sister keeps asking herself, I believe it was April. Well, no, it was April 13th. It was, I'm going to say 2 years ago. I don't believe it was last year. Her best friend, lady friend, was shot 7 times and survived. And do you believe that we just heard today now that her pre-trial is not even going to take place until like next year, just the pre-trial. Now she's out here running around doing as she pleases. She's been given bond, bail, and everything, and she's just, these guys haven't been given anything. And she shot at somebody 7 times. She hid in the driveway. Now you tell me, where is justice? And these men, they haven't even let them out for a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's absolutely, not only have they not let them out, but they're being poisoned by carbon monoxide poisoning in Pahrump. And my friend wrote them and told them the stacks aren't high enough and all this, and he offered to help them, but the men are all sick when they do that, and it's just disgusting. And so we're filing an injunction in Nye County Court pretty soon. We're just getting all the paperwork together on that. It's disgusting how they're treating these men. Chelsea, how's your dad? He's kind of a man of few words. He talked to me a little bit more this week, but this was the most I've heard him talk, and I think it was because I said what a beautiful girl you were.
I think he's doing okay. Under the circumstances, he seems to be just kind of day by day. I keep trying to give him hope that we'll get through this sooner than later.
Right. And your dad has a law enforcement background? I mean, in his family?
He does. His dad was a sheriff, but his dad was a monster.
Okay, so not the guy you'd want for sheriff.
Yeah, not at all. He was a horrific monster.
Wow. And so how'd your dad come out to be a nice guy?
Just strong-willed.
Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of people that are abused as children, they say it stops here. They're not going to do that to their children. They're going to be different. Everything's going to be different. So they kind of like reparent themselves, through their own families.
Right.
Well, Brandon, how well do you know Scott?
I know Scott pretty well. I've known him for the past couple of years and spent quite a bit of time with him. Yeah,
what's your take on him?
Scott is really not a man of many words, but he is a very intelligent man, very smart. He's just one of those guys that that he's going to be there for you. A good example is when he, when we go camping or we do things as an organization, he's the guy that would just walk up and kind of nudge you on the shoulder like, "Hey, I'm here. I got you." Doesn't say much. He's just an all around salt of the earth good guy.
Well, what do you think of that, Chelsea? Is that the right take on your dad?
Yeah, that sounds just about right. Forgive me, I'm a little emotional.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess what I want to hear from you folks, how's the mail been going for you folks? Brandon was telling us earlier that things had taken 3 weeks to get to Idaho. Bea, you have your family and friends having that same situation with Todd?
Oh, yes. From West Virginia to where I am, it took going on 2 weeks. Yes, it's things are, within this time span where I lived previous to this, we had a deck that was up high, and I couldn't understand this on 2 different occasions, not close together. Actually, it panned out to be once each year. I had a small plane that would fly so low that I could see the pilot. So when I told Todd that, you know how he is, he started laughing like crazy. He said, "Well, Mom, I know what that is." And I thought, well, I haven't done anything, and I don't know anybody that has. But, So things, oh yes. And the other day I was traveling, and I have two of the stickers on our back windows that says "Free Our Political Prisoners." And the policeman, he drove in the left-hand lane while I drove in the right, and he followed me for quite a long distance. I don't know what he thought this old lady was up to, but anyways, things, yeah, oh yeah, our mail's being watched and everything's being watched.
So it's just an intimidation technique?
Oh, I think it is, yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, why would a plane fly so low that it was a small plane? No, it wasn't a 747 or anything, thank goodness, but it was a small plane. I could see the pilot.
What do you make of that,
I mean, that's
Brandon?
pretty low.
Brandon, what do you make of that?
I'm sorry you cut out there.
Okay, I was saying, what do you make of that? Bee's saying that she's being surveilled from small planes and followed and things.
Oh, we're all experiencing that, and I believe that we're all experiencing that. We're being monitored, especially the family members of those, that are in jail. They're monitoring their phone calls. Of course, we know that coming from the jail, but we've all been followed. They've been sitting outside of our houses. Bee's absolutely right. That's exactly what's going on.
Is that what you've been experiencing too, Chelsea?
I haven't noticed anything as far as like people watching me. My boyfriend said something to me earlier, and I think it was a partial joke, but he was like, I think the feds are taking our mail because our bills haven't showed up in like 3 weeks, and we should have a bunch of bills like a long time ago. I was like, no, they wouldn't take our bills.
Well, they're just holding up your mail in general. That would be a trick that they do. So better go online and pay them online. Don't wait for the bills to show up because they're trying to, run you into financial trouble there. There's nothing these people won't stop at. I got to tell you, there was a case in 1987, a man by the name of David Lane, and whether you agree with his stance or not, they tried them not double jeopardy, but triple jeopardy. And in the two first trials, they could have just blown the case altogether, but the court-appointed attorney refused to do it. They had one that they said he was in on the East Coast in New Jersey. Someone said testified that he was there. Then someone else testified, he was on the West Coast in the Seattle area with him on the exact same day. And actually, he was visiting a lady friend in Wisconsin. And so he said, no, just go out and she'll corroborate that's where I was. And the man came back, and it was just an intense coincidence that she had died in a car accident just 2 weeks before the indictments were handed down. And they said, well, get the bus tickets, because I took the Greyhound bus or some kind of Trailways or something to her home. I didn't want to take my car, so I just took the bus. He says, well, they don't put names on tickets. He says, no, but they keep a record of all the stops that you made and stuff. And so he said, okay. And he went, and when he came back, he said, oh, the bus station, the office where they keep all those bus records burned down. Isn't that convenient? Well, I'll tell you, in the third trial, they were so fed up with their public pretenders, as Rudy Stanko calls them, that four of them decided to defend themselves. And they did such a great job of dismantling the government's case against them that all 14 were found not guilty. And the look of disgust on the jury's face was obvious with what the government had done and been trying to do to them. So we don't have 3 trials to go through. We got to hit this hard on the first one. Do you agree, Brandon? Did I lose you?
I'm here. Sorry to put you on mute. I actually just got a call from Eric Parker.
Oh, good. Is he trying to call us? Dial him in.
He called in quickly, and then he just said, never mind, I'm getting locked down, so we had to hang up.
Oh, yeah. They're getting locked down because he's supposed to call me now. This is what they've been doing. Last week, Eric and Steve were supposed to call into the show. No, they put them on lockdown. Here it is again, putting them on lockdown. Lockdown should have been over at 8 o'clock. But they know that I told them to call me tonight. Yeah, call me, whatever. I tried to get them to call me last night so we'd pre-record.
Right.
So that sucks. Oh, I'm so disgusted. So disgusted. Well, I'm sorry, everybody. We were hoping to hear from Eric tonight, and then just not going to let this happen. I don't know. I'm going to have to send smoke signals or something down to Henderson to, because they're monitoring everything.
Oh, I think they are too, monitoring everything. My Facebook acts so crazy that half the time, if it's something about the Patriots or any of this, my Facebook will never let me see it. I mean, it just doesn't come up.
Oh, well, that's why I call it Fedbook.
Yep.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
Chelsea, I want to ask you, your local TV station did a story, and they were the usual ridiculous, but you did a fabulous job talking about this. What kind of response did you get from that?
As far as from the public or from
from the public.
I got a lot of people that just were very supportive, said that I did a great job and we need to keep doing this, and getting airtime was really important. And I also got some terrible comments about how my father was, a criminal, and the basic haters. So it kind of went both ways. I didn't get a ton of reaction off of it.
Well, that tells me how little people watch the news anymore.
Right? Which I wasn't expecting, for there to be a ton of people that have seen it. But they did air it several times.
Well, good. I thought you did a fabulous job. I really did. Brandon, I've got to ask you something, and both of you, I'll start with Brandon. Are you appalled by the low level that the trolls have sunk to say cruel, disgusting, horrible things about, these cases, these men?
Oh, absolutely appalled. I am just appalled, and we have to remember that some of that's by design. Some of those are paid trolls for the federal government to create discourse and its fear-mongering tactics. I'm absolutely appalled that the American people would treat other human beings the way that they've done that. They should be ashamed of themselves for the way they've called people names and the way they've treated other people. They've done it to the political prisoners that are in jail who are there standing up for their rights as well, their families, and anyone else that stood up for these guys and is supporting them. They're doing it to all parties involved.
Yeah, at Lavoy Finicum, my God, some of the comments they've made about it's horrible. But even my archive on YouTube, I don't get a lot of views there. Sometimes I do, but for me anyway. But I get trolls already, so I'm going like, wow, that's pretty. We must be doing a good job here, folks, to be getting trolls over at YouTube. I like it. So B, what do you think of the trolls when you read the papers or read online or whatever? I mean, are you shocked by this?
Well, to a degree I am, but there is so many people in our country. I just did a little thing. It's so much money, so much fun. I'm not involved, and I'm not the one. And that's sort of I would say 50% of the feeling. People, as long as they've got it's all going good for them, they don't care. They don't care. I really don't think they care. And basically, a lot of them don't even want to hear it. They don't. And the trolls, they're just very ugly, ignorant people, seriously. You don't talk like that and you don't act like that. And this is the problem. But then I guess, truthfully, if your government's going to treat its citizens in this fashion, you're training your citizens. So they're going to grow up to be just like you are. It's a terrible thing. They shouldn't act like that. We're supposed to love one another.
Brandon, I want to ask you something. When you were a cop, did you find that the sociopaths rose to the top? They were the ones that were given the promotions?
You have to remember, I was in small town USA, so not really. Okay. You would see that, and you're hearing that in the bigger cities that going on, and Well, we can even go back to Ruby Ridge. Let's look at Ruby Ridge. You know, the guy who pulled the trigger over there on
Lon Horiochi.
Yeah, exactly. He got a promotion. You know, so that's what you got to look at.
Yeah, I think Daniel P. Love was Agent of the Year after Blanding, I believe.
Yeah, Daniel P. Love. He's a real piece of work.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's shocking, absolutely shocking what a creep he is. Oh, but Special Agent in Charge, Love. I mean, you should hear the prosecutors go on and on about, oh, what a good agent he is. And he was just doing his job.
Right.
It's just insane, absolutely insane.
But
it's hard, And Chelsea, what do you think of this? That they're running both of these trials at the same time, having these just make it impossible for the men to defend themselves that are involved in both cases?
I honestly really don't know what to think of it at this point. I can't even comprehend in my mind what a court date like that would even look like. I don't know how.
Do you have an opinion on this?
Did you say Dee?
Crazy.
Well,
Yes.
They're doing everything in their power to, they have no plans for these men to get out. None whatsoever. And they're doing everything in their power. They've shut up the media. They've been able to do that. And they're just making it as difficult as they humanly can because I'll tell you what, now they have no plans to let them see the light of day again. And I pray because I believe Almighty God is greater than they are. And I ask for him to reveal truth and expose evil. Because we're not up against the principalities and powers of darkness. We're not up against the Little Red Riding Hood story and stuff like that. I mean, evil at its best is what we're up against.
Oh, I concur on that. I say they're devils in shoe leather, these people. And it goes to the White House and beyond. Brandon, who do you say is most responsible, especially for the Bundy Ranch defendants?
Well, the federal government is in total responsible for it. If you look at the reason why they wanted that land, Harry Reid owns parcels of land around the Bundy Ranch, around that public land they were trying to take. He was going to make a huge profit by the sale of that land to a Chinese wind farm that his son, the attorney, was brokering the deal. I mean, right. There's so much just corruption and lining of politicians' pockets off these backdoor deals, and that's what and the Bundys were onto this, and so that's why they were doing what they were doing and trying to move them off this property so they can move forward with this corrupt plan to make a profit off our public lands, and it's that is a RICO Act. These guys, Harry Reid, the judges overseeing this down in Nevada, BLM.
Neil Cornsey in it thick as thieves. Did you happen to see that video of him? Neil Cornsey's the head of the BLM. He was a longtime aide to Harry Reid. Harry Reid appointed him to that position.
Yep.
Oh, how convenient. And he's stonewalling this congressman from Arizona who's questioning him about the BLM abuse of the Antiquities Act and how they are using that to destroy, other ranchers and land grab. Did you happen to see that video?
I did, yeah. And, again, tell me how that's not a RICO Act. This is an organized crime division, and this is what they're doing.
Organized crime division. That's what their entire government is. We are the largest organized crime syndicate in the world right now.
Yep.
It's stunning. Yeah, it's stunning. And the fact that the courts have been taken over, and I bring this up on a 1950s show called The Longines Chronograph. It was a show about sponsored by the Longines Watch Company. They asked a man who was investigating, he was a congressman from New York, they asked him, he was investigating the Department of Justice, and they said, isn't it true that in order for a totalitarian regime to get a foothold, they need to take over the Department of Justice first. He said, oh, yes, in the police, they need to be able to control the interior as well.
Yeah, they want to control everything.
Yeah,
they want to control, we already know for a fact they're already experimenting with, national police departments and officers and things like that. So, they want to control everything.
Everyone, you're listening to Sacred Cow Barbecue. My guests tonight are Brandon Curtis. He is the head of the Idaho 3%, and he is in contact. He is well thought of by several of the men that are prisoners, and so that's what forced me to have him on. They kept saying such great things about him. I said, well, I better call him. And then we also have Todd Engel's mother. Todd's from Idaho in the Montana area as well, and so she's here with us. That's B. And also Scott Drexler's daughter, Chelsea. She's doing a great job. And we're all out here fighting, and people are just shocked by all this, by how badly their loved ones are being treated in this situation. Cliven Bundy's still in solitary. I believe Ryan Bundy is too, up in Oregon, although they call it segregation there. But and so you're listening to Sacred Cow Barbecue on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. I hope you go over and support the station by getting the archives, buying something cool, doing whatever. We may even have a special. I got to look back, and there might be a special here that I got to look at because, but it might have been. Oh, that was from May 5th. I'm sorry, this not one I know about now, but just go on. If everybody just put in a couple bucks a month, just paid 6 months in advance, we wouldn't make these silly announcements. So Brandon, I think it's going to come down to an educated jury. And they're going to need people kind of like the Jerry Spences of the world. Their attorneys have got to be great in front of a jury. And so far, I ain't seen a lot of that from these defense attorneys.
Yeah, the defense attorneys, that's a problem. We need aggressive attorneys. I know a couple of them have really stepped up, but, we need good lawyers. We need these guys. As you can tell, I'm very frustrated with things, and they're just going to need some very good legal counsel. These defense attorneys need to step up.
They do, and we're hoping that they add Roger Roots to the case, to one of them, because he's willing to be assistance of counsel for all the men, and he's the gentleman that wrote the book Conviction Factory. Oh my gosh, what a great read that is! I mean, it's shocking how they went from having 40% conviction rate in the 30s to a 98% conviction rate now. It's unbelievable. This Bolshevik cartel that's running our government right now, they are putting anyone behind bars that they can, because we all know that they use their Sestake account, and they've probably made millions and millions of dollars off these men just so far.
Well, absolutely, and not to mention the private prisons making a lot of money as well.
Oh yeah, it is. It's absolutely insane, and that the judges actually get a $5,000 bonus every time they put someone in federal prison. It doesn't go on their paycheck, but it goes on their retirement fund in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they voted themselves that nice little raise. So Chelsea, what can we do to help your dad? What does he like to get in the mail? What can we do to help? Do you mind to put herself on mute here? That's okay. B, what can we do for Todd?
Well, Todd, other than us all trying to, I think it's the defense that's concerning his family the most, like Brandon said. We've tried to reach out. We don't even get return calls. And when we did, what family do you know can come up with $200,000 and up? And, I don't care. These court-appointed lawyers, whether they know it or not, their paycheck does come from the people. And they should have enough common courtesy and decency to represent these guys. You take our money, and then you don't even want to defend the person that you're supposed to be defending. So
Well,
we shall
even
see.
Joel Hansen admitted, that they're not, that these defense attorneys aren't putting on a vigorous defense for their clients because they all have to face these judges again. And they know what size up. So they're just, in my mind, most of them are just going through the motions. It's very disconcerting. I think their hope is that some of them need to go pro se. And one attorney for Rick Loveleen is actually anti-gun. Mr. Perez, anti-gun. He's fired him twice, and the guy keeps showing up. So the advice I got for Rick today was that he has to say, Your Honor, make this man leave my table. He's an idiot. Make him go sit in the back. I don't want him at my table. You just have to make a fuss and get rid of that guy. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yes, I agree. So that seems to be our major concern. Todd seems to get a lot of mail. His sister is on the mail. I just mailed a letter off today to one of the inmates. She's on the club that mails to all of them, sends letters. I think it's once a week to different ones. And
it's a strain on supporters. I mean, I know, and I'm trying to get mail out to people. I mean, it's like you got 19 men here. There's another, I don't know. Do you know that the total up in Oregon with the overlap, probably about 21 plus the 7 overlap? Have I got this right? So we've got over 40 people in jail with people trying to reach out to them.
Yes.
And, I know the Idaho 3% are doing a fabulous job on that, and I've been told that since day one. You have to take a lot of credit for that, Brandon.
Well, I give the credit to our entire organization and all of our members. We have an extraordinary leadership team. I just want to take a moment and make this plug that, there's also a lot of, the Patriot movement is also very much of a turmoil and eating itself alive, so to say. Don't believe all the crap that's out there. Don't believe all the rhetoric about, they're trying to get, they're putting false information out to try to derail donations and things like that. And myself personally, I'm undergoing a serious character attack and discredit attack to pull the focus away from that. And I'm going to say, don't buy into it. Don't believe it. We all
this thing has been choke full of infiltrators from day one. Not only Oregon, but the Bundy Ranch, and I know people were disappointed in Sugar Pine Mine, some things that went on. So I question some of the leadership, Brandon. I know you've taken your hits, but I have to say, some of the leadership needs to be questioned.
Sure, absolutely. To ask questions is one thing, and just outright smear campaigns is another. I've always operated of being transparent. Our members will tell you that, where our donations go, how they're spent. We keep spreadsheets of every penny collected for our political prisoners, and we keep that separate from our organizational funds. I mean, so we're very cautious of that. And, we're also a nonprofit organization, so we do that, in the event of an audit or taxes or anything like that. So, they're going where they need to go, and people need to know that. And people don't buy into the rhetoric and the misinformation campaigns that are going on out there,
Well, I know it's been an issue, and I know even at the standoff, after the standoff, people would come up to Carol and say, "Oh yes, we donated $1,000." They never got it. There are scams online, so I just want to encourage people: give directly to the family members. People like Chelsea, people like B. Brandon obviously is taking good care of this. Directly to the Bundys. Be very, very. I say people need to use caution when they're making donations.
Yeah, and I mean, and we have Chelsea and we have B on the phone and they can sit here and they can verify that the Idaho 3% is supplying those donations and those funds.
Well, Chelsea, you want to speak up about that? We may have lost her. Skype isn't always the best here. B, have funds been getting through to Todd?
Of course, we know that the family that's, behind Todd and their funds, we know that because they've chosen to, they send it directly, and that sometimes, like I tell you, it takes 2 weeks, and then we deposit into the accounts, and then there has been others that's showing up, yes. So
I think this whole thing, the phone calls that are outrageously priced, I mean, the commissary items, it's just disgusting. Have you been able to send other packages into Todd?
no. He's getting magazines. A lot of people are asking, can they receive photos, family photos? Some of these friends want to, and I don't know. Every time I forget to ask him, so I don't know that. But
You know
no
what I do
packages
is
like,
I put them, because printers are so good these days, that I just put stuff, I get images that I want off the computer and I put them right into the document. And then when I print it out, they're there on the page. So it's not like extra photographs, but I try to make them as big and as colorful as possible because prison life is so, so drab. I just feel like that lifts people's spirits to have something, a beautiful scene or something to look at.
Well,
I know that. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just, to touch on that, commissary is very expensive for these guys. The phone calls and commissary is very expensive. And, like I keep a spreadsheet of everything that goes in and is collected. And as of just the beginning of May, just on their commissary and phones, we have put, over $2,300 on those, not to mention what the families have done and all the other outside, resources have done just so these guys can get, snacks or some decent food or even make the phone calls. Phone calls are what's expensive so they can contact their families.
Yeah, for Eric to call my local number, there was a 702 number. It was a $2.50 surcharge. Where to call Idaho was only 23 cents, so 21 cents.
Yeah. And in full transparency, while we're on the subject, we have put out a total just shy of $4,000 for these guys in jail since, and that's just as of the beginning of May. That's not taken into account for May yet, since they've been in jail. So we are trying to, make sure the family, that includes families and everything else, doing what we can.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to everyone that helped Andrea Parker yesterday. I know some people reached out to her. And I asked Eric if she'd received that help, and he said that she had. So I want to thank everyone for doing that. I've got some messages here. Hold on. Let me check with the chat room. What else do you find? Oh, someone named Corey. What do you know about Corey? He pled out to conspiracy that seals everyone's fate. They took actual offense as felon in possession and tossed them to get that first plea.
Yeah, I just got that news. There's Brand Thornton was trying to get a hold of me. That's what he was wanting to call in for and share with us. He's got the details on that. Yeah, I just got that news as well. The first plea has come in.
Oh, that's ugly.
You have reached the voicemail box of 7.
Okay, we're still trying to get people here. Yeah, that's a very. Thank you for sharing that. I think
we got him now.
That's very bad, and that's a very bad thing that's happened there. Well, where's this? I don't know. I guess we need to talk with someone that knows more about this. What's your take on that so far, Brandon?
Well, I just actually, since we've been on this phone call, I got the news link sent to me from the Oregonian Live, for what it's worth. It's from the Oregonian Live, their articles. Let me pull it up here. Do we have Brand on the phone?
No, I don't. I'm not able to dial him in, I don't think, unless Mr. Rowe was.
We should have him on the line now.
Okay. Brandon, Brandon, you here?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Sacred Cow Barbecue. We're having technical difficulties tonight, so I appreciate you coming on. Talk to us. We don't like the fact that someone's taken a plea here.
Yeah. I don't have any information on that, but I do have some other information.
Okay.
Would you like me to share it now?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I sat down with an attorney for the defense. I'm not going to mention the particular attorney. For several hours 2 days ago. And little did I realize that I had some information that they are very excited to have, where they're in the process of tracking it down now. I can't mention the news outlets, but I was interviewed like half a dozen times there at the refuge, correct?
Absolutely. And at Lavoie's funeral.
Yeah, and I specifically told two of the news outlets that were there, that when they asked me if we would allow the federal workers to come down and work, those at the refuge, I said yes. They can come down and we will make room for them. We'll get out of their way and they can go to work. And they got come unglued when I told them that. And they are in the process of getting that information now. Again, I don't want to mention the particular news outlets for obvious reasons.
Okay.
But and then there's one other thing, in all this chaos in the last few months, I have some of my stuff has turned up missing, which I'm hoping that some of your audience can help me. My shofar is going to be delivered in a few days. I got it located. But I need the tefillin and the tallit, because on the day of Pentecost, I'm going to be on the steps of the federal buildings and or both Las Vegas and Portland, blowing that shofar in my Jewish garb. So if any of your listeners can help me and they can get a hold of you to replace these items, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. Well, Brand, my question is, you were at the ranch and you were at the refuge. Why aren't you picked up yet?
That's a really good question. In fact, the attorneys I met with just 2 days ago, that was their biggest question. They came right out and said they were worried about being set up. And I about fell over. I just think it's God's protection. That's the only thing I can come up with. I kind of ran a gauntlet like Brandon Curtis there, and I want everybody to know I support him. He's a great man, and I have total faith and confidence in him. But I've kind of run the same gauntlet. Unbelievable that people were saying I'm a INVAD federal agent. I'm like, come on, give me a break.
Right. Well, I get it. It's been who's a Fed game for a long time, because we know there are informants. We know people have infiltrated this thing. But I want to go back to something that Michael Elliott told me not long this week. He said that there's cases where they pick up so many, they pick up 6 or 10, and they think, oh, I wonder if that's all there's going to be. And then after a while, they pick up 30, and then they pick up 300, and all in the same indictment. So we've heard there's as many as 102 to 642 people named in this indictment. Have you heard that, Brandon?
That's exactly what I'm hearing too.
So do you think they're going to be picking up more people?
I think so, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. You had Todd's mother there. She's 100% correct. They have no intention of letting these people go.
No.
And what you're seeing is indefinite detention in action, whether they want to call it or not. Mm-hmm. And that's why I plan on being on the steps of the federal buildings. I don't know if I'll be able to get to both of them because they might roll me up on the first one, but I'm going to be there. And I'm going to be blowing the shofar and, hope it's all recorded, because we need God. That's the only way we're going to get our patriots out. It's not going to happen any other way.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, what about you?
I have mixed feelings about it. I do think there's a very good potential, like Brand said, that more people will be picked up. But on the other hand, I know that would also be detrimental to their case where they're trying to get their trial started. I do know, if they were to get late indictments, that would hold it up. That irritates the court. I know the judge had made reference to that earlier on.
Yes, Judge Lean. Well, I don't even like to call her Betty Lean, the court administrator. She asked the prosecutor, Myrie, if there were going to be more indictments. And he said no. And I said, well, what does that mean? Does that mean more superseding indictments? Or are you going to be picking up more people? So somebody said, well, we think it's both, but that's just a guess.
Right. So, I'm with Brand as well. I mean, it's very, very possible that could be, we're all of us that have either taken a stand one way or another, or we're voicing it, we're loud about it. We're all running the gauntlet, and that's what people need to understand. And the new go-to for the Patriot movement is, he's a Fed, she's a Fed, because they don't agree with something. And, people need to get off.
We get that.
Yeah, people need to get off.
But
that.
they're out there.
Sure.
I'll never get over sending Ammon a text message warning him, and I got back a message saying, "Oh no, Patricia, all the men with me are good men." Well, I beg to differ to this day.
Yeah.
Well, we outed it. We outed a federal informant that was on a different radio show, and he actually went on a radio show and admitted on 2 different shows that he was in Burns and was a paid informant for the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and he was actually at the rally, and so we've have found some, and as we found them and have been able to prove it. That's the key word. We prove it. We out them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, can I interject something here too?
Go right
real
ahead.
Quick. Blaine Cooper's taken a real beating, and he still is. I was there 1 month, almost a month with Blaine, and I watched that man stress out so bad. And when his wife, Melissa, showed up with the 2 kids, I watched her cry several times, so in fear of what's going to happen to her and her kids. And you know what? If Blaine was an informant, you just don't do things like that. You don't bring your wife and your kids if you're an informant and jeopardize them. He was trying to protect his children from CPS. And I watched both of them stress so bad for a month. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about his history. Blaine is a good man. And I watched him take 3 punches from that asshole, Screwy Louie, and he kept backing up and telling him, stop, please stop, before he reacted. So, you got Screwy Louie on Chaos talking about Blaine Cooper blindsiding him and his little runt buddy, it's total BS. I saw the whole thing, and I'm sick of this crap. I'm so tired of it. And, and I had some long talks with Blaine Cooper, and he told me about his whole past and his whole history. And I can understand, you're going to have some anger problems when you have been sexually molested as a child, when you have been beaten repeatedly as a child. Yeah, he has some anger problems. And he came out.
Brand, all right, that's good point. We're coming up on the end here, and I appreciate you coming on tonight, Brandon. Thank you so much. I know.
Okay.
I know we're
sorry
busy.
I got
like
emotional there,
paper
but
hangers.
sorry I got emotional there, but I'm just so tired of this crap.
That's okay, Brand. We're just I'd let you roll on that, but we're running out of time, and the music's going to start in a minute. And I just want to thank B, and our prayers are all for the prisoners and the families and for America, because this isn't just about the Bundys. It's not just about the Hammonds. It's not just about the political prisoners that are there. This is about America. This is about a cabal that has taken over America. And I don't, it's going to be prayer and intention and keeping a positive attitude, and more than a positive attitude. We've got to have a knowing our knower. But this, anything you want to share for the end, Brandon, about this Corey taking a plea?
It's disheartening that he's taken a plea, because that really kind of sets the tone for the rest of the defendants.
Well, I'm sure that's why they got it early.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really unfortunate. I was reading the article here while trying to catch up on it, and it was something that looks like his public defender advised him and thought it would be a good idea so he could get home, get through this and get back home to take care of the family. And I get that. But see, that's what they want. See, and that's when they start to break these guys down. That's what they want. And that's a perfect example of what we were talking about early on.
Eric's attorney was trying to get him to take a plea early on, and he wasn't going for it.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm in close contact with Eric's attorney, and he's really stepped up his game, and he's turned to our investigative team to get resources and information, and I feel like Eric's attorney's finally stepping up. So, As a matter of fact, he texted me while we've been on the show just to let me know, like, at the end of the day, hey, letting you know I went and saw Eric and I gave him all the discovery, so he stepped up his game.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad to hear that because he was a little weak in the beginning. So good. Well, I'm going to be sending him a bill of particulars. I think I've sent it to him, and because Eric wants that done and stuff. So I'm really glad that he has that relationship with him, that Eric understands that his lawyer works for him. So. And he's the one in charge and not the lawyer. So I think that's a good relationship that's developing there. B, anything you'd like to add?
Well, keep the faith. That's what I always tell Todd. We've all got to keep the faith, because greater is he that's within us than he that's within the world. That's what the Bible says, and it does not lie.
Well, we're going to end right there. Good close there, B. Good timing. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
God bless all of you.
God bless.